Hello everyone, welcome to the last and final video of our Rule of Life series. This is where we get to put it all together. For the last 3-4 weeks, we've been looking at different areas of our life, our relationship with God, our relationship with ourselves, and our relationship with others. And this week, we're gonna put the rubber on the road. We're gonna put it all on paper. This is where the rubber meets the road. And we're gonna create our rule of life. My name is Meryl, for those of you who are just jumping in. I encourage you to go back and watch all 3 of the videos, or 4 of the videos actually explaining what the rule of life is. But if this is where you're jumping in, this might still be beneficial for you as well. So this week, I encourage you to maybe spend a little bit more time than you have in the past 4 weeks to actually write down what your rule of life is, or talk to a friend about it. If you're really not a journaler, this is the time to actually really start making decisions on what do you want to add to your life and what do you need to take away that is going to help you flourish. You know, as we've talked about this before multiple times, or as we've kind of framed what a rule of life is, it is really a trellis. It's a place that is like scaffolding to hold you as you grow and you mature to who God has called you to be. And so all the things that you might implement or maybe take away are because of those two questions that we've posed before. Is this giving me life, or is this draining me? And that's something that's going to grow in discernment. That's something that you're going to grow in discernment of for a while as you continue this process. But this week, this is where we get really practical. So for the last couple weeks, I've encouraged you to take this in bite-sized pieces, and while that still is really important, this week may feel a little more challenging, and that's a good thing. I encourage you to take the challenge, even if there's moments where it does feel a little overwhelming, to make commitments and to write down what we want our rule of life to look like. We can feel a lot of resistance, and that's really normal. And I encourage you, unless the resistance feels really strong, where you feel so overwhelmed that you're not able to think clearly, then I'd say definitely take a break and stop. Or you're going too much, maybe dial it down. But if there is a little bit of a challenge, push through it. Pray as you're doing this. Try to maybe ask God, like, Lord, how do I write this? How do I write a rule of life with you in the Spirit? How do I open to your Spirit as I'm doing this? There is a chart which I'll put up here that's in the packet, and it kind of overviews like all of the different areas of our life. There's a lot of white space on it to start, and I encourage you to leave a lot of white space on it. Now, because the squares are really small, as you're looking over the chart, you have another piece of paper next to you to maybe write out a sentence. Like, say if there's a couple things on the section for taking care of your body, say you want to drink like 8 glasses of water, a day, or you want to walk 4 times a week. Like there's not enough space, but that's a great place for bullet points. And definitely leave a lot of white space. If you're anything like me, where you want to kind of go headstrong into something and be really intentional, that's a good thing. It may be hard to actually execute it. So I encourage you, if you are like that, fill out one, make photocopies of this, or I'll give you, an extra copy. Write an ideal of what you want your rule of life to look like, and then write a realistic rule of life. What is actually practical, and what can I actually maybe accomplish? Because if we do overcommit, we will tend to get defeated when we can't do anything with our intention. And again, this is really less about doing and really more about creating a life of intention and rhythms that help bring you more freedom, that bring you closer to God. This, as I said before, is a means to an end. The goal is nurturing your relationship with God, taking care of your body, your temple, and serving and giving to others in the ways that you are called. And if anytime your rule of life does become constricting, and having it be constricting and having it be challenging are 2 different things, where if it feels rigid, or you feel like you have to, or you feel guilt or shame, then we know it's okay, it's become too restricted. But if it's challenging you but you feel energy and you still feel drawn and convicted, that is the space to be in. That's when you know, hey, this is fitting. This is working for my life, and even if you're not seeing the benefits of it. That's something I do want to point out, is that you may not experience the fruit of this for a couple months. When you're adding something to your life to make a change, even like dieting, whenever I would start a diet, sometimes the next day I'd get on the scale and I'd want to see a big difference, but we don't. Sometimes our weight goes up, right? Because our body's adjusting. And so if you're making changes, especially that are going to be challenging, the fruit may not come for a while. But that is where my next point that I want to encourage you to is, after you write your rule of life, in 1 or 3 months or 6 months, put a date on the calendar to go back and to look at what it's been like for you. This is a working document, so this is not something that is set in stone. You may start this, we're coming into August, or we're coming into September, right? It's the beginning of the school year. In 3 months, things may pop up on the calendar that are really important to you. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. Something that my spiritual director says, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And so while I'm sitting here saying, oh, make a plan for what you want your rule of life to be, also know that we don't know what tomorrow is going to hold. And so that's why a rule of life really is more about intentions, where we do get really practical, because that's something that can be measured, and it can help regulate our lives to have certain things that we practice, that we do. But ultimately, the goal is this bringing me closer to God? Is this connecting me to the community of where God has called me? And then what are the baseline practices that no matter what happens, this is what I'm committed to? Maybe that's, going to church every Sunday, or being part of your small group, or making sure you have a date night with your spouse. After you've written your rule of life for the week of what you want, your week to look like, your month, maybe go through and highlight, these are the things that are really essential to me. So we're going to have, our grandkids visit us. We're going to have, medical issues that come up. We're going to have job changes. And when things get stressful, it's so easy to revert back to the old way. And that's normal, because it's what we know, it's what we're familiar with. And if you're adding on anything in your life that is unfamiliar, it's going to take more intention. It's going to take more energy. Driving a car right now is probably second nature to you. When I first started to learn to drive, I had to focus on everything, and I couldn't, talk to my mom in the car who was helping me. I was so focused on checking everything. And we can get so bogged down on all those steps. And I want to encourage you to let your rule of life be just a little bit more flexible. So thank you so much for taking this huge step by looking at what your rule of life is and how you might want to grow and continue to cultivate your life with God. I really hope this blesses your life. This gives you energy, and this allows you to have more freedom. And it has been an honor to just share this practice with you. I look forward to sharing more spiritual practices with you as God wills. And I definitely do want to hear any feedback of what happened, even if it was, I don't like this was confusing, or this was really hard or stretching, or this was really good, or I've never thought of it this way. You're welcome to put comments in the on the video below, or email me, reach out. I would love to hear what this process was like for you. So thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you all soon.